To welcome everybody here again tonight. This is first of two nights, our annual budget workshop with school committee. We have met with all of our department heads, and our principals are here tonight to talk about what our student needs are for next year. And this is the first night. We'll hear from central office and IT and special education on Wednesday night as well. But tonight it really is, Mr. May is going to go for athletics quickly because he's going to get back to the high school. And we'll start with some things. Kevin, I'm going to let you go in a minute. But we'll start with a quick view of where we were last year and then what are we looking for this year. So the budget history, if you look back at our years, real quick here since FY19, the smallest increase year was the year of COVID, obviously, which was the FY21 budget. But then we've had consistently from the town an average of about 5.7% across the years. And last year, as we know, we had a big increase from the state, which is unusual, but we got a $1.27 million increase from the state. And we did amend things at the town meeting, taking a 0% increase from the town share. So last year, this is when we got through our process with school committee, we started with our workshops and worked through. We came up with a budget with the state increase plus what a normal ask from the town would be, about $501,000, was a $1.7 million increase. That was amended later for the town meeting to kind of meet us halfway between town hall and what we were looking for. We did get the full state funding on the town meeting floor, but took a 0% from the town. So we gave back to the town $501,000 to be spent on other departments, and that kind of leads us to this year. And I'll turn it over to Matt. Did you want to talk about the general fund summary?
So right here, this is just a general fund summary, and we're going to be going through all these different accounts throughout the presentation tonight and Wednesday, but a couple of the highlights here. If you just go down, you can see a decrease in administration, which would be central office. That's mainly due to, we found some savings in some service lines and curriculum. We're probably going to be able to spend a little bit less than we did last year, which leads to the savings there. You know, the schools, for the most part, seeing the normal increases due to, you know, the COLA increases for salaries. Student services, that we're going to be discussing Wednesday night, has a 5.1% increase. That's due mainly to increases in salaries and a couple of new positions that we're looking to put in the budget. And then transportation, unfortunately, as seen in the rest of the state, there's been pretty high increases for transportation costs. And also, we had some homeless transportation that increased this year, which leads to a 7.5% increase. And you can see there the 3.5% increase overall.
Any questions so far? Good.
And then here's just the chart that I do every year. I think the main reason to look at this chart is to see that most of the increases that we have in this budget are due to salaries. You know, salaries, and you can see all the transportation costs, tuition costs. So most of the increases are you know, built-in costs that there's really nothing that we can do about. You know, salaries, transportation, tuition is the bulk of it, as you can see here. Now here's the grant fund summary. So you can see there's a 19.1% increase in this. That's mainly due to increases in Educare. Educare has been extremely successful over the last few years. With that, they've been extremely generous to the district, and they've done a ton of work at the schools. Last year at Rob's school, they put carpets in. This year, this year they're looking to do some playground equipment at 2 of the schools. So that's going to cost well over $100,000, and then that's going to be paid out of the revolving fund. So I have that budgeted. So that's the bulk of it. And you can look at circuit breaker, which I'm going to be talking about much more on Wednesday night. But circuit breaker has an increase of $337,000. That's due to the increase in out-of-district special ed placements, and really there's no other place to pay for those other than using circuit breaker. Food service is up about $100,000. Basically, food service, because of the universal free lunch, is a great deal more revenue coming in for food service, so that we are now able to increase and really do repairs in the kitchens. We put in new ovens, new dishwashers, a bunch of other stuff, new tables. So we're going to be continuing to do that stuff over the next year as well. So that's the increase in $100,000 there. Now looking at these current revolving fund balances, these revolving funds are funds that we're able to tap into, so that we don't have to, keep on going back to the taxpayer, and, we're able to, pay for some of our costs. So, just going down these, sped tuition, we have a student coming in from Webster. Last year, this is the second year we have, that student. We brought in 60,000 last year, 69,000 this year. Right now, we're paying for two, IAs out of that line, or that fund, and we're also paying for a consultant that's gonna be starting, this week, a speech, consultant. ACE, that's another one, that we did have some incoming tuitions in the past, we don't anymore, but right now we're paying for, a teacher out of the ACE line. Educare, again, that's the, daycare. Summer school, in the past, we brought in some tuition revenues for summer school, so we still have that. Circuit breaker, like I said, I'm gonna discuss that more, but that's all tuitions.
We'll do special ed on Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday we do that, but, preschool, we have a revolving fund for that, so we have, there's, some special ed preschool students, but then also there's, some students in preschool that are actually tuitioned in. With that, we actually pay for a teacher out of that line, so that's another, FT that we have there. School choice is an interesting one to look at, cause, you guys approved, tuition in students, and it's actually going very well. Right now, we have 35 students in there. So, just like a breakdown of that, school choice. We started off the year with, 159,000 in there. We're anticipating bringing in 200,000 in revenue this year. That's because we have 35 students. At the base, that's, they have 5,000 a student, and a lot of the students, they'll bring in all the $2,000 or $3,000 if they have all the services and stuff, so we're probably looking at about 2,000 we're gonna bring in revenue. Right now, for school choice, we're paying for the dean of students at the high school with those funds. And that's an area that we could possibly look at using those monies further in the future. Any questions with any of the revolving funds, or?
I know the school lunch one always looks high, but you can only use that on.
Correct.
School lunch, and,
Yeah.
and actually, when one of the findings on the audit was we gotta actually lower the balance. So we're gonna be looking at ways to, spend it and do different projects. Jody's been really good at coming up with new projects.
We did install the washing machines off the lot, that was the last big project.
Yeah.
So we're still looking for ways to spend that down and improve our food production for our kids, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be spent on that, but it's very limited what we can spend it on, unfortunately.
Can you do like tables, upgrade tables, serving lines, there's all
Yeah,
sorts of,
we're looking at all that stuff to do stuff like that.
which would offset any need for the town side to cover anything.
Correct.
Or to come out of our operating.
We just purchased a salad bar for the high school, it's going in, it's working, going, and stuff like that, we're trying to look to continually upgrade for the kids.
And Matt, you mentioned the 386 for the Educare, you said the 100,000 or whatever for the equipment, is gonna come out of that?
It'll come out of that, yeah. Yeah, so at Educare too, they bring in like 400,000 a year, and that balance is plenty high enough, so even if we spend it down 100,000 in addition, because I think that their budget's about, their normal expenditure budget's about 400, so they're basically even, but, we'll be able to take 100 out of there.
We need some upgrading, the playground equipment at Chafee and Barton needs to be upgraded, it's time. So we're gonna spend, Educare's willing to do that, and it's a way to give back. Educare can spend it on the kids or in the schools as long as the Educare kids get to use it, and it's part of their program too, which it is, so.
Matt, one other thing, sorry, for the chair.
Mhm.
Could you just explain the school choice too? I know that looks like we're bringing in 172,000. What are we paying out? And what leaves us?
Alright, so right now we're gonna spend about 85,000, because we just have the dean of students in there. So we could come up with other uses of that money.
Well, how many students do, like, what are we,
Oh,
what are
oh.
we projected to pay out this year in school choice? Like kids leaving us?
Oh,
We have,
So that we have an idea, because I know
Yeah,
that
we
is an
have-
issue in the town that some people
Yep.
need to have clarification.
so it's stayed pretty close to the same, it's always around 70, 75 kids, it's at 80 right now. We had some more kids, choose to do online school, TECA and some other online virtual schools that we are actually gonna discuss at a future meeting to talk about that.
So 75 leaving and we're taking 35 in.
Correct.
Thank you.
Good. So enrollment by schools, Chafee, Barton, and middle school, you can see that just over the past 5 years. Oxford is not untypical with other places in the state where attendance is kind of leveling out or decreasing for public schools. You can see our enrollments year by year in grade. See what's happened the past 4 years with 1458, 1466, went up, went down to 1437, went up to 1493, down to 1456. And we continue to have people, school choice is closed right now, but we continue to have people asking us about it. They're interested in Oxford Public Schools and want to send their kids there, so we're fully expecting that number to go back up a little bit again next year. Here's your out of district students. Mr. Nocchioli, you just asked that question about choice out. We're at 80. We have 27 charter school students. Most of them go to Abbey Kelly in Worcester, which has a longer day, and their parents work in Worcester. 66 homeschool, and special ed out of district is at 32 right now. Here's our district FTE count, which you have across all of the schools, central office, IT, and everything, educare and food service, and all the folks that we employ is 298.2. So and now we're at athletics. Mr. May, you ready to take it away?
I guess, yeah, sure.
All right, go ahead.
So, you know, there's not a lot of changes, you know, it's pretty consistent, but, you know, as far as increases as we look for the next fiscal year, we're looking to add 2 positions at the middle school, a cheering coach for the winter, which I believe we're doing this year. And then, we were successful with the unified basketball program this year at the high school, so we look to do that as well at the middle school next year. We did that as part of the co-op, so, stipend for that position as well. The timekeepers and game administration increase, you know, that lends itself to one now actually funding the middle school basketball game administrator, which we've had, but I'm not sure where we're coming from before, but so now it's in the budget. And the other one was, for years, you know, for those afternoon games for soccer, we never ran a scoreboard, so it was always off. But this year with Mr. Lucas's blessing, you know, we had a staff member running the clock. And the feedback was very positive from the community and the students and the parents. So, you know, that increase is those two, you know, having a timekeeper to be able to do the afternoon games, as well as an administrator for the middle school basketball games. And as far as the dues, that increase is based on 2 things. One, the MIA dues will be going up next year. So for the Massachusetts Athletic Association, that'll be an increase. And the Southern Worcester County League, which we are currently a part of, as we mentioned in a previous meeting, will be folding at the end of this year. And we'll be joining many of the schools in our area as we get folded into a larger league, the Central Mass Athletic Conference. And their fees were about $1,200 more than what we currently pay for this one. So that'll take into account those dues and subscription increases.
Excellent. Any questions for Kevin about athletics, budget?
Can you just say one more time, how much more is the subscription for the new?
So currently the Southern Worcester County League's dues are $4,300. The new Central Mass Athletic Conferences, their dues are set at $5,500.
Game administrator, is that just an admin member at the game?
So game administrators, like, so right now, I have a staff member covering basketball until I get back. So it's an actual, it's a staff member
Or a teacher.
that, or a teacher, usually, it's usually a teacher that administers the game. They sign the officials, they keep an eye on the fans.
Okay.
So yes, make sure that everyone's behaving themselves.
Okay.
Administration does go and help.
Okay.
They help as well, but it's good to have a game administrator.
To manage the game.
Okay, that's,
Mhm.
All right, excellent. Any other questions for Kevin or athletics? Good game. All right.
All right.
Thank you, Tim.
All right, Mr. May, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, have a good night.
Thank you.
I'll see you at the girls' game later.
All right. Mike, just before we move on,
Yep.
real quick, Mr. Pearson, just checking you are recording, is that correct?
I am.
Okay, just for the future, when you come in, if you could notify the chair, I'm supposed to notify them that they're being recorded.
Sure.
I appreciate that, all right, so just let you know the meeting is being recorded tonight.
All right, excellent. Thank you. All right. All right, we're gonna kick it over to Mr. P for Chafee Elementary.
Hi, thanks for having me. On your sheet that I handed out, I did have a glitch. It's, grade 2 current students, the class sizes are 20. For some reason, I have 23.6. I must have carried last year's over, so I will take that. I discovered it tonight before I came over and I said, oops. So the class sizes are pretty solid at Chafee in the 20s, 21.2 in K, 19.4 in grade 1. and grade 2 is at 20, not 23.6. And as I wrote in my little summary, I think things are going really well. We're extremely impressed with our tier 1 and tier 2 academic and social emotional supports. I'm excited next Monday I get to come and show you guys some of our tier 2 social emotional supports that we're using at the school. You guys hear a lot about tier 2 in the academic realm. I'm gonna break out and be able to share a little bit to the school committee, to the public, about how that looks on a social emotional area. So our request this year, if you remember, and you wouldn't realize this, but we used some Easter money in April of 2023. Mr. Lucas allowed me to have, from April, a few people joined on my kindergarten team as 3-hour added additional supports. We called them kindergarten academic assistants. They're not IAs. They were kind of a little bit of helpers for the teachers. We didn't really have a description of them. We were building it as we came. Then I begged the next year, Mr. Lucas, again, with your support, allowed us to use Easter money for the 2023-24 school year for the full ride. This year is the first year they're fully inside the budget. And so my request is coming up to say, we have them for 3 hours a day. And as long as I keep them under the 20 hours, they don't have to go to full-time or salary. I'm asking that we add a 45-minute or 1 hour so that they go to 19 hours a week. So I can use that extra 45 minutes, or if I do 4 hours, 4 hours, 4 hours, 4 hours, and 3 hours on a Friday, for example, for one person, depending on the schedules, we would really think, the kindergarten team, and I wrote here, our kindergarten team firmly believes that these positions have had a profoundly positive impact on all learning aspects. The presence of these staff members has significantly contributed to improved student behavior, allowing a more focused and productive learning environment. Their daily support enhances student engagement. It just goes on. We talked about this a few years ago, how we were one of the only districts that didn't have full-time or at least some supports in each kindergarten class. We're just trying to add a little bit to the 3-hour piece that we have. They have been an amazing addition to the school. So much so that we really feel like the growth that we're seeing at Chafee is attributed to some of those things that we're hitting the ground running at the beginning of the year, rather than, it sounds silly, but there's just that extra set of hands that just keeps kids in line, helps us get kids to the bathroom, make sure kids know where they're going at recess, and now that stuff is really kind of wound down, they're strictly academically supporting students. Now that they've gotten it's December, they know what bus they're taking, they know how to tie their shoes, some of them. So we're really seeing that as the outcomes grow. And so this would just be a small increase in their hour, and I just, again, it's not a major, it might not look like a major ask, but I can tell you those 3 hours have made such a great impact, and an extra hour per day for 4 days, and then, would be huge. So that's the request I'm making this year.
And I think it's important to clarify, these are not new positions, these are just increasing the amount of time that they're there.
Right, and as long as I keep it, I don't wanna make them salary positions, I don't want them, the district to own,
Keep it under the
healthcare
20.
or anything like that for the town. I'm just looking at some ways to, and most of them would like that one additional, we're paying them, I think, $17 an hour.
I think it's absolutely necessary, and I agree with you, that's such a benefit at that level.
We've seen the difference in our walkthroughs too, they're needed.
Yep.
It's all hands on deck in kindergarten, so they do a great job.
And your first grade teachers are gonna tell you they see a difference with those kids coming up.
I would have,
Yep.
well, they'll say that,
Yeah.
why don't we have? And I wouldn't say anything other than, yeah, you're right, we should. But that would be it from Chafee. I don't do deal with natural gas, so that's all I do. You guys can.
Yeah, natural gas, I put, you're gonna see quite a few times that, like, the fuel, electricity, I just try to, like, refine the budgets, get them to be more reflective of what the actuals are. So there's gonna be some that have savings, some that are more, higher, but it just reflects the actuals.
All right, awesome. Any other questions for Mr. P before we move on to Anna and Barton? Good? Okay.
Thanks,
All right,
Rob.
awesome.
Thank you,
All
guys.
right, awesome. All right, thanks, Rob. All right, and then you're gonna go home to family. Thank you. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow.
5 to 7, I usually go 5 to 7.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, guys.
All right,
Good
thanks.
luck.
All right, Annie, you ready to go?
Sure.
All right, take it away.
So obviously being new to Clara Barton, I'm learning how everything fits together and flows throughout the course of the school year. But with the forecast of very little change to our enrollment, we're therefore looking to maintain our current staffing levels for next year. However, we're seeking to continue to offer equitable opportunities for enriching after the Bell programming. Some of those programs we're aiming to build interest in and feed the middle and high school programs in the future. So for example, middle school band will benefit from our 5th grade band this year, where they're getting an introduction to some of those instruments.
Anna, just while you're on that for school committee, this was one of your new inserts you got tonight. There's a cover sheet for Clara Barton that Anna created. Just so it's in your packet, in your additional.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Sorry, just a pause. Go ahead, Anna, you're doing
No,
great.
thank you. No, so, mentioned on that paper that Mr. Lucas just pointed out, our elementary bands, we have very beginners in 4th grade or 5th graders who switched instruments. And then that 5th grade band is another opportunity. This year, through a grant, Mr. Cheney was able to secure several drones and start a drone club. And so, we're looking to kind of continue that program going forward. Currently, we brought in Fast Athletics, and so we're looking to have a stipend for an internal person to have a sports offering, because the Fast Athletics program has a cost of $80 per student, which families have to pay for. So we're looking to kind of bring that internal so that it's more equitable and all students have the opportunity to take part in those kinds of things. We established a student council for the first time this year, and we're looking to continue to have staff members become owners of that, as opposed to just administration, and then continuing the Barton on the Run program, which has already been up and running for several years, I believe, and which has a very high number of participants that take place throughout all the grade levels. I think also mentioned are substitute teachers on there. This line item recognizes that there's an additional grade in Barton now, the 5th grade being added last year. And then this year we've had some unforeseeable leaves of absence. There was a 10-week recovery medical leave that took place, and we have 2 maternity leaves this year as well. So that's reflected in that number there. And again, heating is all.
And you'll notice pretty much in every school, we're trying to continue to add clubs for our kids and activities. We know, the state's very concerned, the country's concerned about chronic absenteeism. This is one of those big pulls for kids. If you're into drones and you're gonna come to school, they're not gonna miss school on drone day because they wanna be in the drone club. And you're gonna see Ms. Joseph's gonna talk about the middle school and Becky the high school later. We're trying to add as many clubs as we can for kids, because we want them in our schools, we want them to connect to our building, connect to a mentor, and we know there's positive outcomes from that. So, and Anna's noticed that quickly in her first year, these positive experiences for our kids. So you'll see that reflected throughout the budget. Any questions for Anna on the Barton budget?
Just one, the students in that last column, you list 10, 15, or whatever, the number of students that are here. Is that how many students are participating in the program today, what there's room for, are these programs full?
Yeah, I believe it's approximately 10 in each year.
Yep.
And so there's room, as they move up for additional kids to come in as well.
So they're well attended, I guess, no question.
Right. Exactly. And as word gets out and the students, they perform
Yeah,
for the
absolutely.
larger
Yeah.
group,
Yeah.
word of mouth, it'll spread, so.
I think it's great. We're definitely seeing an increase in our music program
Yes.
participation across the district, which is phenomenal. I love that the Smolinski and Willett Fund was used to purchase those drones, and we just need to facilitate it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Keep going.
And then using our own person for the sports activities, I think is fantastic. It's gonna save a lot of families a lot of money. Yeah.
And we get equal access.
Yep. Yeah, Dave.
This probably to Mike and Matt.
Yeah.
So with the increase in the substitute teacher line, it was mentioned that additional grades, I totally understand that. Where is the money that was with the other grade, right? Is this an increase across all schools? I mean, I know substitute is usually a line item where we have a solid chunk of money that kind of gets moved to each school. Does each school get, I guess my question is why the additional 6,300 when there's already, that grade was already somewhere? Where is
Right.
that money that was
Right.
allotted to that grade, or however you guys break it down?
Yeah, each school has their own allotment for daily subs. Since the pandemic, we have seen an increase in teacher absences, and that's true across the state of Massachusetts. So I think you're gonna see us over the next few years try to bump those lines a little bit and adjust them as we see our attendance. Most years, it depends on the school, it can change. It might be high at middle school one year, low at the high school, and it might flip the next year due to pregnancies, children being born, unfortunately, medical issues that are surprising to come up with staff, we just never know. So we're trying to always run that data and take our best guesstimate.
Right, so with the long-term subs and the ones who are on lengthy leaves, does that come out of the school's budget, or does that come out of the district's operating?
No,
salaries budget?
long-term subs are a separate line item.
In each individual school's
In each,
budget?
in each individual school, yeah.
So there's foreseeably, there's sometimes in a year where that doesn't get used, so that could get pushed over to, or moved to the day to day.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes, correct.
And on those lines, has your fill rate been pretty good with subs? Are we getting subs?
Yeah, we are. We're constantly hiring. Helen is setting up interviews truly every other day with people who apply on School Spring for daily subs. You can always use more. It's actually been great. The past month, we've had some of our previous Oxford High graduates have come back to subs for us who are very interested in becoming teachers. I interviewed 2 more today who are entering teaching programs, which is exciting. So it's great to have them come back because nobody loves our own schools more than our graduates. So that's been great, and we will have them again when they get out of school in May and June, but we're always looking for more folks in town if they're interested in being a daily sub. That's great. So we have been fortunate lately also to finally find some daily sub nurses as well and bring them on board. But it is a challenge across the state. We're not the only ones to find daily subs and nursing subs. It's a challenge.
Yeah.
Can always use more. Any questions for Anna on Barton's budget? No? Okay, nice job, Anna. All right, we'll go to the middle school and Miss Joseph. Ready to roll? Okay.
So what looks like, an increase due to a full-time interventionist is really maintaining the same staffing. That's just a shift of some Title I funding money. So, the middle school no longer fully qualifies for one of its staff members to be Title I funded. But we are still looking to provide and maintain equitable services, to our population, particularly as we look at our commitment to MTSS, and our Tier 2 learning, and how we go about examining our data on a regular basis and providing interventions for students at a variety of learning levels to make sure that they are continuing to work toward grade level learning and beyond. So while it looks like an increase in staff, it is not an increase in staff.
It's not a new person.
It's not a new person. It is just, unfortunately, we're not gonna qualify at the middle school. We're likely not to qualify.
So Tara will go over all of our big grants on Wednesday as part of her presentation, but we'll talk about that. But Title I has decreased. We've talked about this group every year. We keep taking even though our student needs increased towards Title I, the federal government has cut Title I. So this position is being removed from Title I because we don't have that money from the feds anymore, and it has to be put in our general budget.
Okay.
We'll go over the rest of the grants on Wednesday.
Are we still a Title I district?
We are. And actually, the high school qualified for the first time next year, and when Becky does her presentation, she'll explain what she's looking to do with her Title I funds. So, sorry, Lee, go ahead.
No, it's okay. So stipends and student activities, similar to what you heard from Anna, I would very likely hear from Becky as well. We are continuing to look at ways in which we can engage our students beyond the school day in order to ignite their passion for learning, in order to promote community and culture. And as well, we know what research shows us about students who are idle when they are home, particularly in those middle school years that are often crossroads. We want them engaged in positive activities rather than being, having the opportunity for at-risk behaviors and things like that. So to that end, we are looking to continue with the second part of a drama club. We have a very successful drama club that happens at one point in the year, in the fall, where we do a school musical or play. And we have lots of kids that are involved and love it, but once that production ends, so do so many of those students' connectivity to a club that they identify with. And so we are looking to do a second section of it that runs in the second part of the year, where they are learning more about the nuances of theater and dramatics, and they will put on a form of a production, which might look more like a one-act play contest or dinner theater, rather than a large-scale musical that would incur more costs. But that's what we are looking to do to continue to keep those numbers engaged. We have had a successful book club as part of our programs after school that's been voluntary, and we are looking to pay that stipend for that person. That club typically has between 10 and 15 students in it, and as we know, independent reading improves vocabulary, improves lifelong learning. We are also looking to add Dungeons and Dragons. Last year we added our gaming club, which was a family-style gaming club. And so we have about 20 students that are involved in that, and that's great, but we have as many, if not more, who are looking at something specialized, something along the lines of Dungeons and Dragons, more along the lines of live action role playing. So we have that staffed. It's currently a volunteer that does it. We actually have 3 staff members who are volunteering because there are so many students that are interested, and it is an intricate game to learn. And so we are looking to fund that with a stipend. And I did add winter cheer, however, Mr. May already reviewed that. So I have lots of other clubs and activities that our staff members are interested in doing and that students are interested in being forward, but we want to be able to see those go into play on a voluntary basis so that we can look at what those are, what the enrollment is, and what our needs are before we make budget requests. But these are the budget requests for this year.
So they're based on strong interest.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We did the same thing in high school with the theater. Couldn't do 2 full musicals a year, way too
It's a lot.
We did like a drama club, and they did like a play in the fall.
Yeah. Yep. And I think
But it
we're kind of
keeps
the
them
opposite
engaged.
of the high school.
Yeah.
In order, so
Yeah, no,
that the
right,
community gets a
right.
balance.
But it keeps them engaged.
It does, and it's a different
Not as big a
population.
commitment, and that, but it just gives them something to do a couple days after school.
Right,
So it's
right.
great.
It's a different population too that might be involved in other things, like athletics, for example.
And it's great for those kids, because they bonded over the musical this year.
They
So
sure
it's great
did.
to
It
keep
was awesome.
them,
It
great
was
to keep them
awesome. It
together
was
and
so
supporting
good.
each other.
Yeah.
It's terrific.
And to speak to what Anna said as well, it improves attendance. To have clubs and activities that they are and motivated to be there for and build that community that they are there, it improves our attendance, so.
Right. Awesome.
It's the challenge in middle school, to try to figure out how to engage kids and get them
Yes.
down.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's the hook?
Yeah.
High school has way more hooks, middle school, challenging.
Right.
Great job.
Are these used as accountability tools as well? Hey, you're not doing well in your
Yeah.
grades, whatever, you're gonna step out.
Yes.
With the club.
So we do have as part of our handbook that we can review, that we will review grades, and that students who are failing can be asked not to be a part of it. I will say that we're not hard and fast on that rule. It's a case-by-case basis in terms of what the student needs, and we dangle that carrot regardless.
Sounds good, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Could I just add too, before we move on, I don't know, maybe Anna said it, but there was a reduction, right, at Barton? Am I seeing that correctly, the heating reduction?
Oh, yes, there was heating reduction, yeah.
I just don't know if we mentioned it out
Yeah.
loud, that's all, I just wanted
Yeah.
to make sure that was, it's like at 8,868.
Yeah, again, that was based off like the last 5 years actuals and what I'm anticipating and,
Okay, thank you.
8,800, I think.
yeah.
Yeah,
Any other questions for Ms. Joseph?
No,
for
I
middle
still
school?
have to,
Oh, okay.
I still have to finish up, and then I
Oh,
have
okay. Oh, that's right.
the,
Sorry, keep
that's
going,
okay.
sorry.
I have the department chair, the department leads. So I asked for 2 department leads. The first one And I do have department leads in my building, but we don't have department leads in either special education or in the Unified Arts program at the middle school. Formerly, there was a lead at the middle school for Unified Arts a short time ago. But the reason I'm asking for these is separate for each of them. With regard to the request for special education and co-teaching, as we are really trying to move forward with co-teaching, the idea of, right now what we have is, at the middle school, we have we have 3 special educators who in the past have been assigned to a grade level. And they work as the liaisons for those grade levels, and they work in the supports for the students in those grade levels. This year, they share supports among them in, according to what the needs are. But as otherwise, the classes are primarily supported with tier 2 level supports by our instructional assistants. And we are looking to bring more fully develop the co-teacher model to our building. We are currently have co-teaching in the way of special ed, which we need to see grow, and we want to see grow, in order to better support our special ed students with regard to their specific goals. Not to say that our instructional assistants don't do that, they do, but there are some other deeper skills that some of our student populations have that special educators who are trained and certified in those areas have the ability to give and lend more so than an instructional assistant. And also to be able to view the lens and work collaboratively with that teacher. So we're really looking to develop our co-teaching model in order to improve our tier 1 instruction to that population and to provide tier 2 instruction within that tier 1 environment, in that regular environment.
This would allow them to meet together.
Correct.
Weekly like other
A
departments as well.
lead, in establishing a lead, they have the opportunity to meet together, but they don't have anybody who's the lead. And so it's a lot of conversations that don't go in very many directions. So we're looking to have somebody take that lead in order to continue those conversations and help us to create a tapestry where we're really supporting the needs for our students. The other position.
Can we just talk about that one?
Go ahead, sorry.
So for me, I don't disagree with that, but I guess I would, and again, we're just here about money, but I just at least wanna give my 2 cents on that. It's short money, but if you don't have anybody that has experience to do that, then I don't think it's a worthwhile venture, right? It sounds like you're growing it, so do you have anybody? And again, this is beyond the money, it's more what my principal had on. Do you have somebody who has the capacity to do that? Would that money be better spent on having training be brought in? Or sending somebody to do a train-the-trainer type model? That's all again, it's short money, but I just wanted to.
Sure. We have at least 2 experienced special education staff members that have the skill set to be able to move forward to lead and have those relationships with their peers to do that. That was actually part of the discussion that Mr. Lucas and I had.
And I think a big part of it is we've seen from our common planning time this year at the middle school and high school, really bring our departments together, our grade levels together, and get them to meet together. This would allow for that meeting to happen every week consistently, talk about it together, meet with Ms. Joseph if they need to. And that's part of it, right? We wanna give them a team of support also for each other. And then as we grow our co-teaching model. So that's kind of all a piece of it.
Can I add to that, because I'm asking for the same thing? So at the high school, I will say that right now our special ed teachers, I have 7, and they are embedded with the Unified Arts teachers. And Unified Arts has many different goals and issues than the special ed department does. So my department heads meet with me every month, and we go over what I want them to do in the department meeting, and we go over all these different things. Every month is something different. But I really want my special ed and co-teaching department head to really push forward the co-teaching PD that we've been doing. And I do have 2 different special ed teachers that I have in mind that both could do it. One has already gone through co-teaching, train the trainer, and the other one is an excellent co-teacher in the classroom and really has taken what we've done and pushed forward with it. So I have that, but at the other end, when I speak, I'm gonna talk a little bit more about what I specifically need at the high school from this person, but I can see where, like, we really need a department head for special education.
I mean, it's short money, I just wanna make sure that it's, and it sounds like you vetted it out, you guys worked it through, so, yeah, that's.
We're really looking to continue to improve the quality of our instruction and engagement in order to promote student engagement and learning. And I think that this will continue to give those supports that are needed.
All right, excellent.
The next position is the department head for unified arts. This was a position that formerly existed in my building. It does not currently. They each individually tell me what they need for their budget. I do the PO, the main office works on the POs for them, et cetera. So there are certain clerical things, but that is not the reason why this is here. The reason why this is here is that my Unified Arts program has embraced some of the initiatives that aren't on our school improvement plan, like such as literacy, for example. And they are embracing the work that we are doing in the middle school to build a community culture. If we continue to build that community culture, just like through things such as our after-school activities, right? Then we continue to motivate our students to be present and engage them in our community. And so to that end, they have worked on some literacy goals in things like art, to do art history, in STEM to do some coding and programming language, for example. And so they want to continue to do those things, but they also want to work together collaboratively on projects. So this year we brought in, for example, Crocodile River Music, which 2 of the members of that department wrote a grant for, and they envision something like that happening, but at a larger level where they are making connections among each other and with the other core leads in order to really bring a community movement in our building. And so therefore we're bringing us all together there. So that is the reason why I'm looking for that department chair. The feeling is that interdisciplinary collaboration will just help to continue to strengthen our community and our commitment to learning.
It's the one department in your building that doesn't have a lead.
Correct.
Okay. What are some of the classes waiting for, what is Unified Arts? Can you just say that?
Sure, so Unified Arts includes physical education and wellness, art, music, which includes general music, band and chorus, STEM, exploratory Spanish in grade 6, and video, media, technology. So those are the classes that are in there.
Awesome, thank you.
And then the last thing is an increase in our supplies and materials budget. That comes from a few little things. I mean, obviously we have some increase in inflation like anybody else, but the reason why it looks larger, we had a stockpile of paper at OMS for quite a while, and that stockpile of paper is no longer a stockpile. So we have to increase our paper purchasing by close to 40 cases, so that's one increase. Other increases are that the 6th grade last year brought in a historical novel to bring into the history classes. They want to implement the same in grades 7 and 8 next year as well. Other increases include our TV, media, and technology. He has added CAD. So as he came over to the middle school and he started looking, he began teaching, but my arrival last year, he was really teaching three grade levels of the same thing and finding ways to make it advance within. So we've looked at what his license and skill set area are, and we are looking at other ways to develop what he teaches and what our students learn. So this year, for example, they are learning computer aided drafting. And so one of the programs that goes with that is the cost associated with this and expanding the program. So that's where you see those lines.
Excellent. Any questions for Ms. Joseph? Middle school budget? Good? All right, thank you, ladies.
And I'm staying because Becky and I, we collaborate a lot
Yeah, so do.
together, so.
That's good. That's
All
good.
right, Becky, we're not gonna kick you out.
You're welcome to stay. Becky, you ready to?
What she
talk high
needs,
school?
I need to support, so.
Yes. All right, before I start, I just want to say that everything that I'm asking for here is for the benefit of kids and to strengthen our high school and make it that place everyone wants to be. So starting off, if you look at the beginning of my budget proposal, you'll see that all the FTEs that are here and our class sizes are pretty much relatively the same as last year. I'm not asking for any more teacher FTEs. I want to maintain what we have because our average class size is pretty good. It's a little bit more than last year. That's because we have more students this year than we did last year in the high school. So as you go down, the budget impact. So in the current budget that we have now, we are able to offer our students a lot of electives from digital design down to creative writing across the board, and we have a lot of AP classes that we offer our students. And I'm happy to say that our AP enrollment numbers have gone up exponentially. So I want to continue doing all of these things for our kids. Some of the things that we also do for our kids are the career pathways that we've started, like the Certified Nursing Assistant program, our Fire Science program, which is wonderful, and actually a big kudos to our fire department because we do have the fire department that come in and volunteer their time to teach that every day. And they have 20 kids in there right now, and they're doing really well. And also our early childhood ed classroom that we have where our students are learning how to become preschool teachers, and they actually are able to go into our preschool that are in the building and observe and help and do internships in there as well. So it's been great. The one thing that we are looking at, and we've started the application for, is our innovative career pathway for business and finance. And that's something that business and finance is usually a staple in a lot of high schools, and we didn't have in Oxford. So ever since I've been here, this is something I've wanted to do. We got approved for the first leg of our grant for the planning piece. We're currently planning. We applied for Part A, and we got good feedback for Part A, and Part B is due in February. So we're currently putting it all together to apply for the final piece of the innovative pathway. This pathway will allow us to offer a whole pathway of business, and it'll also give us money with the grant to have one full FTE specifically for business. So this teacher will be able to teach entrepreneurship and marketing and intro to business for us. And also would be able to put together and implement internships for these kids to go out into the workforce and work in banks and MAPFRE and all these different places that we've been reaching out to actually go in and do internships towards the end of their senior year. So that is really exciting. If we do get approved, like I said, that will give us a full FTE for business for 3 years within that grant. So I'm really excited about that because that just adds more, especially the career pathway. Our kids need more of the career pathway. And we're trying that. Not all kids want to go to college, right? So we want to give them different opportunities. If you look, our budget connection to the school improvement plan, we are aligned to the district improvement plan and our school improvement plan to develop strong student-centered practices to support all learners. And that brings me to my asks. So the first ask I'm asking for are 2 academic assistants, part-time. So the reason why I'm asking for this is that we currently have inclusive special ed teachers that go in and co-teach in English and math, because IEPs usually have an English and math goal. So we have to have them in English and math, and that really depletes our special ed department. So we also have history and science classes that these same kids are in. So I would really like the academic assistants to be able to go in and support our students for the benefit of our kids that might be struggling in those specific classes, and to help and support students on IEP, students on 504s, and actually support any student that might be struggling from one moment to the next within these classes. I also would like these people to also support and monitor and helping to monitor the building. So currently we have teachers with duties that they have bathroom duty because we need to ensure that the bathrooms are safe, and different duties to maintain our building and keep our building safe. And I want to be able to maybe use these people once in a while to cover those, so our teachers would be better used in sitting down and co-planning and working on stuff that directly affect our students within the classroom with instruction. Especially seeing as we're moving forward with co-teaching and trying to really make that flourish. I want our teachers to have more time to sit down and plan, because if they don't have the time to sit down and plan, the co-teaching falls apart within the classroom. You know, the co-teacher doesn't know what to expect or what's happening next. The general teacher might know, but they really need that time at least once a week to sit down and plan that out. So I wanna be able to give them that time to do that. Are there any questions on the 2 academic assistants?
That's, you're using the Title I?
Yeah, so I wanted to add to that, so,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you say that.
because,
I didn't say that.
because,
I didn't.
yeah, so now the high school was added to Title I, last year, and we got notified that in August, so it was kinda too late to add anything to the high school.
Yeah.
But we're talking with the state, we got to start using some of our Title I resources for the high school.
Yeah.
So, you know, Title I has been decreasing, but we're hoping it's going to go up because the school was added. So we're hoping to be able to get these academic assistants to pay for it out of Title I, which I think we should be able to.
But if not, that's what you're asking.
I'm thinking that we'd be able to use the school choice money for that, so I think we might be able to get at least 10 or 11,000 out of Title I, and then the balance of it will come out of school choice, that revolving fund.
When do we usually hear that, Matt?
August.
Not till next August.
Yeah, so that's the tricky part about it, is
Yeah.
we don't really.
The thing too with Title I is you, well, at least for me, always wanted to target like the younger population. So to really utilize Title I in high school is, sometimes for me, it's like, not that there's not a need, I'm not saying there's not a need, just there's other ways to, fund it too, like we gotta get it funded, if there's the
Right.
need, we gotta fund it.
Yeah, because the other piece you
So
have to think
Title I needs
of,
to get consumed at the younger ages that
Right.
we need to build in those positions.
when we sit down and we talk about data and we listen to K through 5 and K through 8 data, there's a lot of interventions going on, K through 8, and then when you get to the high school, there's no tier 2 interventions, and this is one way that we can kind of slide in some tier 2 stuff.
So that's why it's almost like, so I guess my question is, are we building this in as an ask into the general budget and not relying it on out of Title I?
No, we're not. We have to spend some of our Title I money on the high school next year for the first time. We have no choice. Some of it's gonna have to be spent on the high school.
Really?
Yes,
Sorry,
so once we get it in
That'll
August,
change.
we have to, Ms. Trainer will talk about this on Wednesday,
Alright.
about Title I, 2, and 4. But we have to show a contribution because her school now qualifies as a Title I school, which it had not before previously in Oxford.
Well, see, there must have changed, right, because we're a Title I district.
Correct.
So it's added high school into Title I.
Correct.
That wasn't.
Finally
that-
qualifies
Okay.
as a part
So
of
high
it.
school's finally qualified.
Correct.
Yeah.
We qualify already as a district.
So this cost would be 2 part-time people, $25,000. So would what it would cost us. So Title I, if we had another decrease in Title I, we're projecting it's gonna finally level out or go up because we're including 400 more students in our Title I. We'll see what happens. You never know. We could take it out of school choice if we don't. If that answers your question.
Yeah, I guess the thing is, if there's a need, I wanna make sure that the
Yeah.
need is met.
Yeah.
Like, right now, we've heard three quarters, and Becky's almost done, there hasn't been one increase in a position.
Right.
Not one FTE has been asked.
Correct, because the business teacher would be from a grant for 3 years,
Right.
has no
So
impact
that's
I'll
on
be
the
asking in
budget.
3 years for a business teacher.
Yeah, and that's
Right?
fine, I'll probably be long gone.
Heads up.
But my point is, if there's needs, we need to know about the needs.
Yep.
So I wanna make sure that that gets, that's, maybe she only gets one of those out of Title I, we gotta make sure that we fill both, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Back to the department head for special ed and co-teaching, I know that we already covered that, very well. The only piece that I would add for the high school is the fact that this position also would help administration hold staff accountable to the accommodations that need to be met within the classrooms. And also ensuring that accommodations are being met and well planned out for standardized testing with MCAS and the like. And also, it would help with creating a master schedule. So I want this person with their hands in the pot, helping us making sure that our master schedule is the best it can be, especially for our IEP students and students with accommodations. And I say students with accommodations because that includes 504 students also that have accommodations within the classroom. So I really want this person at the table with the master schedule to make sure that like we have enough co-taught classes running and who is teaching what class, and it's really a complicated thing when you look at a high school, and so I really need that help as an administrator, and the guidance department really needs that help because we don't necessarily have the background expertise in special ed with the different accommodations. So I need that person at the table, and that will be part of their role as well as pushing forward co-teaching as well. Like that's going to be a major focus that they'll be focusing on in department meetings and their CPTs and things like that.
And how about implementing DCAP, the teaching?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
And I
so
would-
having those conversations with staff, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I would echo that from Becky as well.
Yeah.
Same thing for the middle school.
Yeah.
Good point. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Any questions on that one? And the supplies and materials, really that boils down to more calculators for the math department. Math is using Savvis for the first time this year, so it is also finding some materials for that, calculators and copy paper, really.
Matt, you wanna talk about the heating and the electricity?
Yeah.
Just more adjustments. Yeah, so you can see here, heating of buildings was up 5,500, but electricity was down 10,000. And I should mention at the middle school, there's like a little bit of room with electricity, but we're doing that lighting project, so I think there's gonna be a savings at the middle school once all the LED lights get in. I'm a little hesitant of cutting that budget yet, just because
Unforeseen costs?
Right.
unforeseen costs and
Electricians?
no, the entire project is getting funded for out of, through National Grid, and it's gonna come over the next 5 years through electric bills. But just in case there's not as much savings as we realize, so there's a few thousand in cushion at the middle school electricity, but I don't wanna remove that just in case. Because we're not gonna realize the savings until, the project will be done in a few months, but just in case those savings aren't realized.
That $10,000 reduction comes from the high school.
The high school.
Line item for electricity.
Correct.
Has electricity rates gone up in the town, or are they projected to go up?
No, they haven't gone up much, and, the town is actually like on the solar, gets the solar credits and from different companies, so the electric bill has been pretty, stable over the past few years.
But now to pay for this project, what's happening with the solar credits?
So it's gonna come out of the there's two portions of our electric bills, there's the National Grid portion, and then we have an energy company that we're buying the credits off of. So the savings that we, to pay for it is gonna come out of the National Grid portion. Because the project is gonna be paid for out of the reduction in usage, or, the reduction in kilowatt hours used. So that's where it's gonna, come from.
It's coming along nicely.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see the difference, right?
That's exciting. Be nice to see it before and after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And the company that we're working with has been great, they're, very helpful, and, I've asked them a lot of questions, and Mike met with them and talked to them, and asked them a lot of questions, and they've been great with.
Doing a good job.
Yeah.
I'm excited that the kids will be able to see and the staff to see when they're walking through the hallways.
Right.
Especially now that it gets dark earlier, right?
That's right. Any questions for Becky on the high school budget? No? Okay, all right.
Thanks, Becky.
We will, that's it for tonight's agenda. We will pick it up, district-wide central office on Wednesday. The rest you'll hear from Kristen Hutchinson, our IT director, Kara Trainer, our curriculum director, Matt and I both. And Kristen Miller, our special ed director, will also go last on Wednesday night, so. That'll be it.
Anything else from the committee tonight? Otherwise, I need a motion to adjourn.
I just have one question.
Yep.
The custodial services section for our budget.
Yep.
Where do we talk about that?
We'll talk about that on Wednesday.
One of the last things,
On Wednesday?
We'll do that on Wednesday as well. And
That's what I mean,
transportation
so
too.
Comes out of the maintenance, comes out of that, all that.
Yeah. We'll talk about that Wednesday. Yeah, good question.
Okay.
Anything basically not covered tonight, Mr. Proctor, will be covered Wednesday.
Got it, thank you.
All right?
Sorry, I'm good.
Good, wanna make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion, that'd be great.
A second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?